Okay, hi there. I'm Deanne Battle. This is the Composite. So here's the thing. I'm not sure exactly if this is an episode right now. I wanted to go live at 9 o'clock exactly, but just had a bunch of adventures today. Had to drop my computer off at Best Buy so they can finally fix the cracked plastic on it. So that's going to be out of commission for like the next 2 to 3 weeks. But at least I didn't have to pay for it, so that was a benefit. The policy covers it, and then after that I was running errands, and I womanhood, depending on how you're doing it, is very expensive. I'm kind of like, I guess, crunchy. So, I don't, I'm not like super, super high maintenance. But there are like a few things. I'm back in New York City. It's a competitive environment and you're judged on your appearance. So it's just, there's certain things that you can do to look a little more polished. And so I'm like, okay, you just try to pony up a bit. And so all of that being said, my nails were just way too overgrown and they started snagging. And so for any of you, if you have the powder on your nails to harden them up a bit, my nails just never been particularly strong. But if you put the powder on them, it grows out, right? And so it's like, can I save money? Can like stretch in between visits? And then today my nails started snagging. And so like usually in the past when that happens, I have one big snag and the nail like pops off, and it's like I just had this vision in my head, because the last time I just had like these bloody stumps. Two of my fingers were just like bloody stumps where the nails popped off, and I'm like, okay, it's been about almost 2 months. Yeah, it's time to just pony up and get this done again. And so now the place that I've been going, the people are, friendly and professional. Now, it is a weird sort of service culture that we have in this country, because it's so stratified by race and ethnicity. So depending on the service that you're looking for, people are all this ethnicity or all that ethnicity. And so I just try to be very mindful of that, respectful. But this place has quality control issues, and it's just, the last time I got my nails done, it was impeccable. It was really wonderful, and I was just like, oh, and I felt it definitely lifted my spirits. But I came in today and I'm like, okay, they're open for another hour and 30 minutes, an hour and some change. Like, is it enough time for me to get what I want to get done? And so I said, okay, well, I want to get, the powder on my nails, French tip. So yeah, it came out good. It did. But here's the thing. So they're like, okay, yeah, there's time. And I'm like, I don't like when folks try to rush you through. It's like, yeah, just take your time, do what you need to do it correctly, please. It's very expensive, which is why I'm not getting it done on a regular basis, because like I can't. Like I'm just trying to like not look like a hobo as I walk around. That's the bare minimum of what I'm trying to do. And it's just, times being what they are, there is a level of guilt that goes into self-care. There is. So anyway, the young lady, she gets started on my feet, and the feet were, she did really wonderfully with the process of the scrubbing and the massage and everything. But when it came to the actually painting the toenails, it was a step and a half above what I do for myself. And so I can do, when it comes to just nail polish, I do like a halfway decent job on my hands, but my feet, I'm a disaster. I just don't have a steady hand with it. And so, I go and I pay someone. And so after I looked at my toes, I'm like, because in my mind, I'm thinking somebody else is going to do my hands, right? It's very gendered. Generally, in nail salons, or at least in, no, I'm trying to think. I've lived in about 6 or 7 different states. It's pretty standard. It's the men, for some reason, are in charge of doing more technical nail things with your hands, and then women focus on the feet. I don't know why that's the case, but so when she was done with my feet, she walked me over to the table, and I'm like, oh wow, oh good for her. She's training on how to do, I don't know what you call it, but more technical things with the nails. So acrylics, gel tips, powder, all of that stuff. And so she gets started, and the other guy is supervising her, and he's telling her, okay, do this, do that, or whatever. And I'm like, oh, okay, so this should be okay. He's supervising, and I was thinking that he was going to take over at some point. No, excuse me. She did the whole thing, and so again, I think it came out well. Did it come out as well as the last time that I got my nails done? No, but to be fair, this is like the 3rd time that I've been to this place since I've moved back to New York. I haven't been getting my nails done like often. It's like every, about every like 8 weeks if I'm lucky. But she wasn't as good as the last time that I got it, but she was better than the first time, because the first time I came back and I said, listen, this is not lasting. Like 2 days in, it was peeling and stuff. I was like, what is going on? And so, I spoke to the guy or whatever. I didn't get, a refund or anything. But, the next time that I came, they took really good care of me. And so I go back, and so she's working on my hands. And I'm like, okay, this is working out. And then as they're wrapping up, because I guess everybody has to wait until like the last person was done, and so she was the last person. Oh, excuse me. And so they finished, and then I go outside, and I'm looking at my hand, and I'm like, now wait a second here. Like, one set of nails is like super shiny and cute, and again, I'm feeling a bit better about myself today. And then the other hand, I'm like, what is going on? It was like the nails were mushy. And I'm like, whoa, what is this? So I come back, and I said, hey, this is not, these hands don't match. One looks polished, crisp, shiny. The other, no go. And so I guess she had missed a couple of coats of paint. And so, all of that being said, because that took so much longer, than it usually takes me, and I think, to be fair, because she does seem newer, she was taking her time, which, I appreciate. I wasn't in a rush. I'd rather something, be done correctly. But I'm just like, when I went back, I said, listen, hey, fellas, like, I know she's training, but this doesn't look right. These hands don't match. So they went and they fixed it, but it just, it's been a long day. And, instances like this, they remind me of things that I think about a lot, like the ways in which my cup has been so empty for so long. And, I keep trying to like find these little stopgap measures to pour back into myself. And, one of them, like I said, just being like a little more mindful of my appearance, taking better care of myself, pretending I give a damn. And then, over time, starting to give a damn, right? And then it's just like, what is this like kind of afterthought bullshit, you know? I don't want to make it about me, because it could have been anybody that was that last person. Excuse me. They weren't too busy today, I guess. But it could have been anybody that was that like last person and ended up in that situation. But it's just like, well, damn, like, there's a whole hand, a whole 5 digits that you forgot to polish here. And then I started thinking, well, now wait a minute, if you have trainees, that's okay, but I think you should offer a discount for these very expensive services if you're going to have a trainee, right? So that way, if there's a mistake or whatever, like, just going into it, you know, hey, this person's training. You know, it doesn't have to be anything crazy, you know, like, oh, half off. Like, no, I'm not like a cheapskate. You know, the products are expensive. That skill set is an expensive and valuable skill set. But, you know, to get charged full price and then have to come back for you to finish it, no. But I was proud of myself that I asserted myself and said, yeah, this doesn't work for me. And then as I was coming upstairs, again after 9 p.m., which, excuse me, was when I wanted to start the show, I was like, okay, well, you know, where else was this applicable lately? And then I started thinking about last Thursday, which was so interesting. So, I enjoy artwork, and I went to this gallery in Lower Manhattan after work. I worked late. It was like really late. It was after 6. And, excuse me, you know, just for, you know, for reference, so I teach all day until like 3:30 or 4. So, you know, technically I can leave campus at 3:30, but, you know, if stuff comes up, if students need me, I stay. And so I wrapped up, and I said, you know, what can I do to kind of, you know, just let off some steam, again, that is cost effective, either cheap or free. And so there are, you know, certain galleries that, you know, do free events in the city. And I'm like, oh, I wonder how this works out. And so just fast forwarding a bit, it works out because the event is free because they're trying to get you to buy some of this art. Did you know? Hold on. Did you know you can finance art and have monthly payments for that shit? I'm like, okay, so you all have they had some you know, Picasso and Dali and Renoir. I might be mispronouncing that. I don't speak French, but they had this one Picasso piece that was on display, and then they were asking you to guess the price. And so she said, oh, well, you know, I'll give you the price range. And so it was under $300,000. I guessed about like 265, 275 based on what it was. And so I was just like, wow. So let's say hypothetically I'm correct and that piece was $275,000. So you mean to tell me you can finance that shit and like make payments on a Picasso? That is, let me tell you, debt is at revolutionary levels. I've never heard of this. But to be fair, like I don't travel in any circles right now, but I don't travel in circles where, you know, that happens, where like, oh, you know, talking about how one goes about paying for fine art. But so I'm there, I'm minding my business. They had a DJ. I'm like, do, this is fun. I'm taking pictures, mingling with some of the other people there. And then the security guard comes over to me and he's like, you look like that actress. And I'm like, that narrows it down. Yes. And then he came back later on. He's like, oh, okay, I remember her name now. He said I looked like Viola Davis. Now, I don't really see it, but I love Viola Davis. So I was like, oh, that's a compliment. Yeah, I'll take that. Sure. You know, shits and giggles and all that jazz. Let's go with it. And so I think he saw my face that I was like slightly dubious. You know, again, I wasn't like rude or just kind of like, oh, like, what do you mean? I just didn't see it. And so he found a picture on his phone and he showed it to me. And at the time, like, I had on a lot of makeup and stuff. And so I was like, oh, okay, I can kind of see what you were saying. Like, around the eyes and the nose, it tracked based on how I was dressed and the makeup I had on and everything. So I was like, okay, all right, so that's a decent observation. Now, just for reference, who else have people said that I look like? Michelle Obama. Definitely not. Candace Owen. Definitely not. At this point, I mean, I've only heard those a couple of times, but when I hear that, to me, the translation is, you look like a brown-skinned black woman. That's what that shit means to me, because I don't look like any of those people. And then when I was younger, I would get Queen Latifah a lot, especially if I had my hair braided. It was immediately, oh, you look like Queen Latifah from Set It Off. Okay, because I haven't heard that one before. A couple of times, like if I had my hair in an afro, it was Jill Scott. And so, okay, all right, cool. But I'd never heard Viola Davis. I was like, okay, so this is a new one. And so, you know, I'm walking around or whatever, and you know, it's a smaller space, a nice gallery. You know, as far as, you know, me kind of getting acclimated back to the city again, I haven't really been, you know, too many places. And so as they were closing, he was just like, oh, you know, hey, well, you know, would you like a bite to eat, or, you know, something to drink, or, you know, something like that. And so I was just like, I was like, you know, where are you trying to go? And then he was just like, just across the street. And I said, okay. I've never been asked on an impromptu date. And, you know, he was fairly put together, respectful, had a sense of humor. I'm like, age appropriate. That's important. So, like, sure, why not? I was just like, but quickly, like, you know, like, I can't be out late. I have to work tomorrow. So we go across the street and it's a tapas bar, but things immediately started going left. Okay, so the first thing is that we're at a tapas bar. Now, I went to Madrid with a friend of mine in 2018. I think I was referencing that trip another episode, like last episode or an episode before that, for another reason. I also really think I am desperate to go on a trip, because I think that was the last international travel trip that I did in 2018. It is 2025, y'all, and there's this big, beautiful world, and I just cannot explore it right now, which makes me sad. But so if you've had tapas, excuse me, sorry for the throat clearing, but if you've had tapas, right, they're small plates, so like little bites, you know, a lot of cured meats, cheeses, things like that. Kind of think of cooked charcuterie, all right? So we're there, and then he immediately starts going into this whole, oh, well, you know, I'm a vegan, and, you know, I don't eat after 7 p.m. usually, but you can get something. And I'm like, okay, here we go. Why did you ask me over here? And then I'm like, okay. He was like, yeah, because, he starts talking about weight. And then he made a comment about my weight, which is, okay. So I was like a mini flag here. I'm not anywhere near my heaviest. I'm not even, because how do I phrase this without making me seem less than I see myself? But I feel like pre-COVID, at my current weight, people would be like, oh yeah, like, you're fat. But post-COVID, everybody's fucking fat. So I'm skinny fat now, okay? I'm, visibly a large person, but, because I've like been in these groups or just like talking to people, and we're talking about, trying on clothes or, talking about weight and stuff like that. And people and I'll say, oh yeah, yeah, I went up a size, I got a da-da-da-da-da. And people are like, oh no, what do you mean? Oh my gosh, you look so wonderful, pa pa pa. And pre-COVID, yeah, that was not happening. But I just think that perceptions and standards have shifted as people have gotten heavier. I don't even know, honestly, what size clothing that I wear, because anytime in my mind I'm like, your body over a period of time. I mean, I've been every size from like, an 8 approaching a 6, so like a loose 8 up until a size 24. So I kind of know like, when you're carrying this much weight, this is what size you are. And so in my mind, I'm like, okay, I'm a 14, 16. But then I go to buy 14, 16s and I'm like swimming in them. And I'm like, wait, there's no way at this weight I'm a 12. But they're resizing everything, okay? So I'm aware that, again, kind of like skinny fat. So to have a visibly fat man making a commentary about my weight I'm just like, okay. So you immediately hit me with 2 mini flags in the first 5 minutes here. Allegedly vegan. I'm not seeing where that's going, but that's a different story. Yeah, very portly for a vegan. And then, I don't, eat late, and then, the commentary about me or whatever. So we sit down, and then we're chatting, and we're having like a good conversation, telling me about, his life, how he turned his life around, and, his spirituality. I consider myself a spiritual person. So we're talking about that. Like, how do you, do you meditate, or, how do you overcome adversity, which, is a, sorry, my lips are like kind of crusty. How do you overcome adversity, which is, a big thing that I think about recently. And so we're chatting, 5 minutes in. He says because we're sitting at the bar, he says to the bartender, oh, don't you got any like mozzarella sticks or something? Okay, 3rd flag. Why is this a flag? Number 1, he said he had come to that place before. So if you had been to that place before, then you would know they don't have mozzarella sticks on the menu. And then second of all, again, tapas. Tapas are not, that's not mozzarella sticks. So then I said to him, oh, well, because it's, and I explained just the way I explained it to you. I'm like, oh, hey, like, I've been to a tapas bar before. It's, excuse me, I'm so tired. Basically like small plates, usually meat and cheese and stuff like that. He's like, well, I don't eat meat and stuff. And I'm like, okay, fine. So, I'm trying to like be accurate and fair here. So then I'm like, well, let me look at the menu and we'll see if we can find you something without meat. So there's patatas bravas, which are like roasted potatoes with olive oil, aioli, things like that, like a sauce on it. So I'm like, okay, there's that. And then I said, well, they have like, these like toasted baguette things. I forgot the title of it, but it's like toasted baguettes in olive oil. Excuse me. In kind of like a tapenade situation. So he's like, oh, okay, yeah, that sounds good. And then he was like, oh, the sangria here is really good. And I was like, okay, cool. So we're sitting there, the sangria comes, he pours like a heaping thing of sangria, and then he pours me a heaping thing of sangria, and then he drinks like half of it. So I'm like, hi. I was like, okay, well, and I said to him, I was like, oh, it's a good thing, we ordered like the small plate, the snack, sorry, the hair is herring right now. And so the food comes, and we set up. I'm like, okay, here's some potatoes for me. Here's some potatoes for you. He keeps looking at his phone. And he's like, yeah, that was a good security gig tonight. It was just like, yeah, I'm just making a lot of money. And so I'm like, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't ask people about their financial situations. I don't pocket watch. Especially guys. Like, I don't ask guys like, oh, how much money do you have? How much money do you make? That's not a road you want to go down. And I feel like if I'm spending time thinking about his financial status, then a couple of things. One, then we probably don't have any chemistry. There's nothing else to think about. And then two, that there's a level of insecurity there. And I can do badly by myself. I am doing badly by myself. I don't want the smoke. I don't need it. Don't need it. Don't need it. Don't want it. Don't like it. Okay? And so the potatoes came, we're eating the potatoes, and he keeps checking his phone. And he's like, yeah, this was good money. He said, yeah, but this guy, like, I have to keep asking him to Zelle me, to Cash App me, and da-da-da. And so then he said it a second or third time, and it occurred to me, oh, fuck. Did you really ask me to come across the street, sir? And you don't have the money to pay for this? The way he phrased it is like, can I treat you to, or can I take you to? I am the type of person, like, I'm not going to tell someone, can I take you somewhere, or can I treat you to something, and then expect to go Dutch. That's not going down in my universe. Nuh-uh. This is totally an unforced error, sir. I was minding my goddamn business looking at Picasso's crazy bullshit. I didn't ask for this. So he keeps calling the guy and texting the guy, and I don't know what happened with that part of it. Excuse me. Ooh, sorry, it was just like a super long day. My apologies. So I don't know what happened with that part of it, but he keeps calling, texting, or whatever, and I guess he wasn't getting the response that he wanted. But he was like, yeah, it was really, I made a lot of money. And then he said, oh, I made $300. And I'm thinking to myself, that's not a lot of money. Now, to be fair, at that period of time, like, did I have $300 sitting in my bank account? No, but I am also aware that $300 is not a lot of money. Grateful if I have it, but that ain't a lot of money. And so this is less than 10 minutes. No, because the potatoes had come. Okay, so this is about 12 to 15 minutes in, and reality is setting in. And I'm like, okay, it's an impromptu date. He did not seem crazy. He didn't seem crazy. But this is getting crazy. And so we're sitting there and we're chatting, or I'm attempting to chat, because we started talking about spirituality, and I started talking about, my relationship to God and all of that stuff. Don't ladies, don't do that. Don't do that. Really bad idea. But I'm thinking that I'm having a mature conversation. And then we're eating the potatoes, and he goes, wow, these potatoes are really good. Thanks for ordering it. And I said, yeah, and I said, and there's no meat. So, you still get to keep your vegan diet going and be healthier, even though you're eating after 7 p.m. So all is well. Then he says suddenly, well, I'm full. Let's cancel the bread. He canceled an order of toasted baguettes in olive oil. So I'm like, no. And then I'm starting to think again. I'm like, okay, I might have to pay for this date that I did not ask for. I shouldn't have to think that. Now, so after he said he wanted to cancel the bread, he's like, oh, well, I'm a retired police officer, like, they have to give me a discount and stuff. And then he's like bullying the guys to give him a discount. And I'm like, well, all we ordered was sangria and potatoes. We ordered wine with fruit in it and roasted potatoes. But he was insistent that they needed to give him a discount. So he got up and left. And when he left where we were sitting at the bar, I was like, okay, Deanne, you have to make a decision. Like, do you want to leave? Or like, what do you want to do? And so the reason that I'm relating it to the nail situation is because there is another version of me that would have gone home with lopsided fucking nails rather than go back to the nail salon and say, this is wrong, please fix it, excuse me. There's a version of me that exists like that. There's a version of me that wouldn't have paid for the date because that would have just really like something would have snapped. But there's a version of me that would not have held that guy accountable for what he was doing. And so in the moment, I said, you know what? I'm going to let this shit play out. You invited me here. I didn't ask to be here. You pretended, I guess, for 45 minutes to be normal. And you decided that you wanted to come to this establishment. I'm like, I'm gonna fucking sit here and let this motherfucker figure out how he's paying for this goddamn wine with fruit in it and these fucking warmed over potatoes. He needs to figure this out. So he goes and they gave him a discount. But they didn't give him the discount that he was looking for, right? Because they gave him a discount on the potatoes. They didn't give homeboy a discount on the sangria, okay? And so, that situation was set up. Okay, so he knew, all right, pay for the potatoes. He canceled the bread after they had already started making it. He canceled the bread, but he had to pay for the sangria. So he's, we're still talking. He's still on his phone doing stuff. And so this is 15 approaching 20 minutes in. He goes, he's like, you're a mature woman, he was like, you're intelligent, you're well put together, but I want to be honest with you. And I'm like, yes, honesty is important. Then he says, I'm married. I am a beacon for these fuckboys. I don't know why. Maybe I'm too nice. And the thing is, there's a corner of my mind where I thought I was approaching my supervillain era. No, nowhere near close. So he goes, I'm married. So I'm just sitting there looking at him. Not only is he married, he has 7 children. He has a whole village attached to him. He is married with 7 children and apparently a bishop at not 1, but 2 churches. Where they do this at? Where? Not here. No, sir, no, ma'am. Don't want it, not having it. And so my brain shut down. And so we're chatting, and I'm like trying to be cordial, but at this point, I'm just waiting for him to close out the fucking bill so I can go home. I was like, I'm not doing this. No. And he's like, oh, well, he was like, yeah, he's like, we really get along. We have great chemistry, which was true. We were talking about, what else did we talk about? What type of neighborhood you grow up in, again, how you change your life, when you've hit rock bottom, like, how you make different decisions, how you invest in yourself, how you, what type of energy do you give the world and yourself, and, how do you prioritize your needs and the needs of others, so it's not like we weren't having a good conversation, but then at one point he was just like, oh, when we're intimate, and I said, no. I said, there will be no intimacy, sir. I said, you are married. I thought we established that. Like, that's not what happens over here. And as a sidebar, how do you get a mistress when you can't pay for wine with fruit in it and roasted potatoes, and you're thinking all the way ahead toward a mistress? The people are delusional. And so I was just like, oh, he's all the way crazy. Oh yeah, he's like super, super crazy. And so, the date's wrapping up, and then the bill comes. He balked. The bill was not $53. And so I'm like, okay, as the woman that I am at this stage in my life, in this skin suit, I'm not worth $53 to this man. When he invited me here, I did not invite myself. I did not choose the establishment. It just, as a certain point, and I said this to him, I said, as a black woman, how much you want me to accept crumbs? These are crumbs. And I'm not talking about the finance part of it. I'm talking about his mentality that he thought that he could somehow parlay and compartmentalize me into his life, where that would be acceptable. The level of disrespect. And I was just like, I can't. And so, and here's how things got paid for. So he takes out, I don't know if it was debit cards, credit cards. Again, I'm not a pocket watcher. Like, if I don't know you and you start doing banking stuff in front of me, I like turn my head. I don't want to know shit, don't want to see shit, just in case stuff goes down. It's like, oh, there was some sort of finagling going on. I'm completely unaware. So it looks like what he ended up doing was he transferred money from a couple of accounts into his main account, and then was able to pay the less than $53. I don't know if he tipped. I did not check because that would have really pissed me off. Because again, you've harassed this man to cancel an order of bread. You've harassed this man for a discount on potatoes because you're associated with law enforcement, and then now you don't even want to pay for the sangria. He was like, "Oh, this is expensive." Yeah, motherfucker, it's alcohol. Alcohol is expensive. They put the taxes on it. They put, what else? There's sales tax. There's, a separate, I think, alcohol tax. What is the place? What is it? Alcohol, firearms, and I'm sorry, I'm not remembering the name of that government agency. But yeah, the long and the short of it is that there are extra expensive, and that's where they make their money. They're not making their money off of roasted potatoes. They're making their money off of getting you crunk. And the fucked up thing is that out of that whole picture, I had a glass and a half. He drank the whole, and it was a big picture. He drank the rest of it himself. So I've got to go through all this struggle and strife. I have to have the struggle date for a glass and a half of wine and fruit and a plate of potatoes with sauce. It's not worth it. I felt like I was in a Tyler Perry movie. Security guard Bishop with 7 kids in a loveless marriage, shopping around for a mistress who he tells looks like Viola Davis. Yeah. Oh yeah, Tyler wrote my last Thursday. Okay, so this is how I'm living. And it's just like, I get on the train after all of this and I make my way back to Queens. He kept calling me. I'm like, you're calling me? I'm in the subway. And then he flipped and got super crazy. He was just like, "Oh, I don't like your tone." What? You don't like my tone? You're married. You... How are you entitled to tell me what's wrong with my tone? I blocked the fuck out of him. Blocked. But, I wanted to curse him out before I blocked him, but I was just like, nope, don't even send this situation that energy anymore. But, the long and the short of it is like in the past month or so, and I don't know if the universe is testing me, but I keep having these interactions where people are either unintentionally or intentionally crossing my boundaries, and I'm having to be like, no. Finally, for once in my sappy life, no. No, I'm not going to walk around with lopsided nails. You're going to fucking fix my hand. No. I'm not going to be your mistress, Mr. Broke Ass. Disrespectful. No. You don't respect the sanctity of your own marriage? Come on. And, maybe definitely stuff has always been this raggedy, but it's just so naked right now to me, certain things that I'm seeing, and it's like, no. I want to just be very clear with the universe that I'm tired of people always sending me or giving me what's substandard, and I'm just supposed to drink it down like it's okay. It's not okay. It's not okay to send me out of your establishment and my hand is not done. It's not okay to be married and assume that you have access to me. It's not okay. None of it is okay. And I guess what I hope for you is that you also say to yourself, yeah, this is not okay. Maybe if, all of us, if we raise our standards, maybe the dusties or those moments that are particularly dusty, maybe they would just decrease just a little bit. And I wasn't going to get on here and talk about this, but just the situation with my nails, and then not being able to get back here on time because of that to do the show, I'm like, oh no, I'm on one right now. I need to talk about this. No, in 2025, what we are not doing, no more substandard, and it's time to step it up. And I say this knowing it's not easy to step it up, because I'm definitely not where I want to be in any capacity, but I'm really trying to dig deep, even though the well is dry and the cup is empty. I'm still trying to dig deep. And if I can try to dig deep, guess what? Again, you can paint my goddamn nails, and you can pay for this wine with fruit in it and these roasted potatoes. You can do that. I don't ask for much. People that know me know I don't ask for much. But I'm so tired of living in the corners of everyone else's mind and attention. I need some main character energy now. And that's what we're bringing. No more of this. And no more impromptu dates. No impromptu dates. Because these people are crazy. That's crazy to me. So you mean to tell me you're the bishop of 2 churches? You were really going to risk it all when you told me where you live? Like I can't figure out who your wife is? Oh yeah, you're very, very crazy. And you better, on Sunday, thank God that I'm not crazier than you are. Because I had some thoughts of where we could take this. Okay? So, I guess that was an episode. And so this is the Composite. I'm still Deanne Battle with painted nails. And what else? Yeah, with painted nails. That's all I've got. With painted nails and bags under my eyes. But don't let people give you crumbs. People need to do better. Really need to do better. When I'm out and about in the city, getting pushed and shoved every which way on the bus, people are acting like animals, like you don't know how to form a line, or you don't even know how to contain yourself. Like people have these massive book bags with their whole lives in them. Now there used to be, when I was younger, you used to have to take your bag off so you could make room for other people. Oh no, that doesn't happen anymore. That how we relate to each other, we need to do better. We need to do better. And I don't know what motivates people to do anything anymore. And I say this as a teacher, I don't really know what motivates. Every day I'm trying to motivate people to, work on their sentence structure, to work on their thesis statements, to do research. I'm trying to motivate people, and I'll be damned if I know what motivates them, because every semester I have to try something, a new gimmick, a new approach to the same thing that I've done in the past. It's really challenging, but we do need to do better, because what is the point of civilization? What is the point of civilization if you're still going to run around here in total anarchy, degeneracy, and lack of basic social skills? You don't need a society for that. We can just all go back and live in the woods or something. Main character energy. I wish that for you. All right, and with that being said, let's try to sign off of this again. The Composite. I'm Deanne Battle. This is season 5, episode 9. All right, have a good night.